My throat closed like someone had wrapped invisible hands around it as I read the place card at my sister Brooke's wedding reception. Table 14, near emergency exit. Not the family table, not with my parents or cousins. Table 14, where they put the forgotten plus ones and elderly relatives who couldn't hear the toasts. Across the ballroom, Brooke caught my eye for just a second, then deliberately turned away, whispering something to our mother. They both glanced at me, then quickly looked elsewhere. It was the practiced move of people pretending someone doesn't exist. My fingers trembled as I clutched my designer clutch. It was the one I'd spent 2 weeks' salary on for this exact occasion. The weight of silence grew heavier than the chandelier crystals sparkling overhead as the usher led me past the gleaming Monroe family table. I was headed toward the shadowed corner where unwanted guests were stashed like dirty secrets. My name is Rachel. I'm 32 and a marketing executive. This is the story of how I turned invisibility into my greatest weapon. Growing up, I was the reliable sister, not the brilliant one with pageant crowns and perfect SAT scores. That was Brooke. I was just there, on time, in line, useful. My mother called me low maintenance, as if requiring less attention was my greatest achievement. When Brooke had strep throat, I gave up my bedroom without complaint. When Dad lost his job, I offered to skip senior prom to save money on a dress. He didn't thank me. He just nodded like sacrifice was my default setting. I learned early that being good didn't earn attention. It just gave people permission to overlook you more confidently. For years, I accepted this role, clapping at Brooke's graduations, taking her headshots for college theater, staying up late editing her resume while she cried over breakups. "You're the only one who doesn't make me feel like a failure," she once told me, sniffling into a throw pillow. 3 years later, she told relatives I probably wasn't coming around much because I was too busy being a career girl in the city. The truth? I was on leave from work, recovering from a breakup that left me with garbage bags of clothes and a lease I couldn't afford. But no one asked, and I never made noise. That wasn't my role. When I launched my first national campaign for Luminor, the local paper wrote a small blurb. My mother clipped it out and stuck it in the kitchen drawer next to expired coupons and warranty slips. Meanwhile, Brooke got a bridal shower with 40 guests and custom champagne flutes. I received a mug that said "Girl Boss" from the clearance bin. Still, I showed up to her engagement party, helped pick centerpieces, drove 3 hours to take her dogs to the vet when she had COVID. Then last Christmas, when I asked if we were doing anything as a family, she texted, "It's kind of just immediate family this year. Super small." I stared at that message for a full minute, the words burning into my retinas. I had given her rides, helped her lie to exes, covered her rent. But when the moment came, she was the first to quietly erase me. The sister I thought I'd always protected. Now sitting at table 14 with Great Aunt June, who hadn't heard a full sentence since 2011, and my cousin Laya's son with AirPods jammed in both ears, I cut my chicken with mechanical precision. I felt the weight of glances that slid toward me, then quickly away. It was like I was an unfinished sentence in a room full of conclusions. The DJ called for the bouquet toss, summoning all single ladies. A ripple of laughter passed through the room. Several guests looked my way. I stayed seated, hands folded in my lap, eyes fixed on the flickering candles. And I wondered, not for the first time, if anyone would notice if I'd never walked in at all. That's when I made my decision. 3 weeks later, I sent a group text to my family. "Dinner at Ellison's this Friday at 7 p.m. Important announcement to share." I didn't explain. Didn't respond to the flurry of questions that followed, just confirmed the reservation and ended the conversation. For once, they'd have to wonder about me. I arrived at the restaurant 20 minutes early, chose a table in the center of the room, not tucked away, not hidden. I wore the same charcoal gray dress I'd worn to Brooke's wedding, but this time with different accessories, confidence and purpose. My father arrived first, checking his watch as if I might be late to my own invitation. Then my mother, already looking around for Brooke. Finally, my sister swept in, her husband Kevin trailing behind. She air-kissed my cheek, her perfume settling around us like a question. "So what's this about?" she asked before even sitting down. "Mom thinks you're moving abroad." I smiled, the expression feeling foreign on my face. "Wine first?" I said, signaling the waiter. Throughout the appetizers, I let them talk. About Brooke's honeymoon, about Mom's garden club, about Dad's golf handicap. I nodded at appropriate intervals, asked the right questions. They relaxed into familiar patterns, occasionally remembering to include me with a, "Don't you think, Rachel?" before continuing without waiting for my response. When the main course arrived, my mother finally turned to me. "You said you had news?" I dabbed my lips with my napkin. "Yes, I've been offered a position as creative director at Halston Media." "Oh," Brooke said, her interest already waning. "That's nice." "In Chicago," I continued. "They're giving me a team of 12 and creative control over their largest accounts." Dad nodded, cutting his steak. "Good for you, honey." "The thing is," I said, my voice steady, "they want me to revamp their entire Midwest operation, and I needed to recommend partners for their new integrated marketing approach." This caught Brooke's attention. Her company had been struggling to land bigger clients. "I suggested Richardson Group," I said casually. Brooke's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Richardson was her company's main competitor, the one that had poached 3 of their biggest clients last year. "You what?" she whispered. "I've been talking with Richardson for months," I explained, sipping my wine. "After helping with your presentations at the agency, I saw potential synergies with a contact I'd made during the Luminor campaign. They were impressed with my insights, and we've been discussing partnership opportunities since February." I set my glass down. "They're bringing 6 of my recommendations on board. Full partnerships, revenue sharing, the works." Kevin's face paled. He worked at Brooke's company, too. It's how they met. "But you could have recommended us," Brooke said, her voice rising slightly. "You know we've been trying to break into that market." I tilted my head. Could I? I thought business discussions were for immediate family only. The table went silent. My mother's eyes widened as the reference registered. "That's not fair," Brooke started. "No," I agreed. "It isn't fair. Just like being seated at table 14 wasn't fair. Just like being excluded from Christmas wasn't fair. Just like being treated as an afterthought for 32 years wasn't fair." I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder with the Halston Media logo. I brought the partnership details. Richardson is announcing the deal tomorrow. 6 clients, $40 million in billings. The contracts are already signed. Kevin swallowed hard. "Those were accounts we were pitching next week." "I know," I said. "I saw the presentation drafts when I helped Brooke with her slide layouts last month." I turned to my sister. "Remember when you called at 11 p.m. needing help? I stayed up until 3 a.m. fixing your graphics through the shared cloud folder you sent me. You didn't even say thank you." Brooke's face flushed. "This is about business, Rachel. You can't mix personal feelings with professional decisions." "That's exactly what you did," I replied evenly. "When you decided I wasn't immediate family, you made a business decision about our relationship. I'm simply returning the favor." My father cleared his throat. "Now, Rachel, I'm sure Brooke didn't mean—" "Did you even notice?" I interrupted, turning to him. "When she didn't invite me for Christmas? When she seated me by the emergency exit at her wedding? Did any of you notice, or was I so easy to erase that it didn't register?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "The Richardson deal includes a clause," I continued, my voice steady. "They can't poach any more staff from your company for 18 months. I added that protection for you. Because unlike you, I don't forget my family exists when it's inconvenient." I stood up, placing my napkin beside my barely touched entree. "Dinner's on me. Consider it a parting gift." "Parting?" My mother's voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "Chicago," I reminded her. "I start next month. I'll send a forwarding address for Christmas cards, though I don't expect to receive any." As I walked toward the door, Brooke called after me. "Rachel, wait, you can't just—" I turned back, meeting her eyes directly. "I'm not invisible, Brooke. I never was. You just trained yourself not to see me." The maitre d' helped me with my coat. Outside, the evening air felt clean against my skin. My phone buzzed with texts. From Brooke, from my mother, from my father. For the first time in my life, I didn't respond immediately. Let them wait. Let them wonder. Let them feel what I had felt. 3 months later, I was settled into my new life in Chicago. My luxury high-rise apartment overlooked Lake Michigan, and I'd found my stride at Halston Media. My corner office overlooked the river, and my team had already landed 2 major accounts. My assistant knocked on my door one afternoon. "There's someone here to see you." "Says she's your sister." I looked up from my computer. "Send her in." Brooke entered cautiously, looking smaller somehow in my space. She held a gift bag awkwardly in front of her. "Nice office," she said, glancing around. "Suits you." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "What brings you to Chicago?" "Did Mom give you my address from the Christmas card I sent?" She nodded, sitting down and placing the bag between us. "Yes, she did. I've been trying to call you for weeks. I finally decided to just come see you in person." She paused. "Kevin and I separated." I raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "The Richardson deal," she continued. "It hit the company hard. There were layoffs. Kevin blamed me, said if I'd treated you better, none of it would have happened. We tried counseling for a month, but last week he filed for divorce." "And what do you think?" I asked. She met my eyes directly for perhaps the first time in years. "I think he's right. I think I got so comfortable being the center of attention that I forgot other people matter too." She pushed the gift bag toward me. "This isn't a peace offering. It's an acknowledgement." Inside was a framed photo, one I'd never seen before. It showed us as children, maybe 7 and 9, building a sandcastle. We were both focused on the task, covered in sand, grinning wildly. "Mom found it when cleaning out the attic," Brooke explained. "It made me realize something. We were equals once before I started believing my own hype." She paused. "I miss that. I miss you." I set the frame on my desk, angling it so we could both see it. "I didn't take the Richardson deal to hurt you, Brooke. I took it because for once I wanted to be chosen first." "I understand that now." She hesitated. "I can't change overnight, Rachel. But I'd like to learn how to see you again. Properly. This time." I studied her face. The familiar features that had always commanded attention, while mine faded into the background. For the first time, I saw uncertainty there. Vulnerability. "I have a dinner reservation at 7 p.m., I said finally. "A business meeting with potential clients. You could join us, as my sister, not as competition." A small smile formed on her lips. "I'd like that." "And Brooke?" I added as she stood to leave. "At this restaurant, all the tables are equally important." She nodded, understanding the message. As she walked out, my assistant gave me a questioning look. "Family," I explained. "Complicated, but worth the effort." That evening, as we walked into the restaurant together, I noticed how Brooke kept pace with me instead of rushing ahead as she always had before. As we sat together at a table that neither outshone nor diminished any other, I realized something important. Revenge hadn't given me satisfaction. It had given me visibility. For the first time, my family was seeing me clearly, not as an afterthought, but as someone whose absence left a space that couldn't be filled. I hadn't come back to be chosen. I'd come back so they'd stop pretending I was never there. The following weekend, I flew home to have dinner with my parents, who'd been calling regularly since my announcement at Ellison's. The conversation was stilted at first, but by dessert, my father actually asked about my job and waited to hear my answer. My mother suggested a monthly video call, her voice tentative but sincere. Small steps towards seeing me as I truly was. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.